going on, everybody? It's AuroraYJ coming at you with a brand new video, and with Phantom Nightmare just around the corner, a lot of players are really excited to start off the year with an actually good core set. Between things like the new Fire support and the new Snake Eye stuff, especially Snake Eye's Populace, being able to make decks like Snake Eye, and of course things like Fire King as well, a lot stronger than they are in their current state, alongside fan favorite cards like Duel getting Legacy support that's actually not even horrible, it's really no wonder why this set is looking to be really hyped. But my personal favorite thing coming out of the set has to be the brand new Goblin archetype, which is an archetype of level 3s with different types and attributes that focus around attaching Xyz materials in order to gain their advantage. Here's the catch though, they can detach from either field. This makes the deck incredibly powerful against Xyz decks, especially things like Purely, alongside going against cards like Divine Arsenal Zeus, in which they can literally build their board while preventing the Zeus from even playing. One of the most interesting things about it though is that because it affects the material and not the monster, it can even work against cards like X Purely Noir, which is very heavily played right now, and it's why the Goblin cards are seeing side deck play over in the OCG, similarly to how Bystials were. I think that even against a non-Xyz deck though, this archetype has some insane potential as a level 3 base deck and an Xyz base deck. Honestly, like the 3-axis as a deck is just such a popular mechanic, and it's always going to have a way to just make some absurd board by just blinking because of all the level 3 support out there. I have this list right here which showcases not only Goblin in the deck, but also archetypes such as Punk and Gold Pride, which both can get easy access to level 3s on board, while getting you some even more advantage and disruption at the same time. Starting off with our Goblins though, Doug the Assaulter is our first one here, that starts off by saying if it's in your hand you can attach a material from a monster on the field, and if you do special summon him. All of them have, like I said, some sort of effect like this, and even some of their back row and Xyz monsters revolve around this, but it also says on summon you get to add any Goblin Rider spell or trap from deck to hand. Usually you're going to be adding the Grand Arrival of the Goblin Riders, which is a Rhoda that can also detach a material from the field to special summon one from your hand. It's also got a really great graveyard effect that allows you to banish it to detach a material from a monster and add a Goblin from grave to hand, which can be utilized with cards such as Mionda the Cold-Blooded, which allows you to special a different Goblin from your hand on summon, and she has a similar effect to Doug the Assaulter to special herself, but she works while in the graveyard, though she is banished when it leaves the field, but it doesn't really matter because you're typically going to be immediately using her for Xyz fodder. Clodo the Noisy allows you to target a Goblin in your grave and special summon it on summon, and it has a quick effect in graveyard effect to detach a material and special itself, but also banish it when it leaves the field. Very good there to have a quick effect, which is even better on top of Boon the Mock Speed, which is the exact same as a quick effect, but also works while in hand. The main problem though is that he doesn't have like any other effects other than until the end of the next turn after this resolves, you cannot special summon Boon the Mock Speed, so you're using him kind of like a last ditch extender or to just disrupt your opponent in case they make something like I said like Zeus, etc. They also have more back row that Doug can search, such as Grand Meeting of the Goblin Riders, a continuous spell that gives your goblins a massive boost just by controlling multiple goblin monsters. It gives you an additional normal on top of your current one, and has 2 different level modulation effects, the first one being that one of their levels becomes the level of the other one that you target, because it targets 2 goblins, and the levels of both monsters become their combined original levels. This is how you're going to be accessing their rank 6 normally. The first effect seems a bit weird for me, at least for now until we get more goblin support, because unless you already modified one to be a level 6 last turn and then it's still on board for some reason and you make it make the other one a 6, this only really seems to be like it'll work in case they get a level 6 monster, so I'm looking forward to see what they get in future support to actually get one. And they also have a continuous trap called Goblin Rider Stampede that says during the main phase you can immediately Xyz summon using only goblin monsters you control. It also says if you control a goblin Xyz monster, you can target one effect monster on the field, detach a material from a monster on the field, and if you do, it negate the targeted monster's effects until the end of this turn. You can only use one effect per turn. Stampede's usually just there in case you already have access to some of the better cards such as the Grand Arrival and the Grand Meeting. It serves as a pretty decent disruption at being an imperm, especially because you are ending on multiple Xyz monsters that you usually don't care if you detach material from, so you're not really looking at like any major downsides. You just don't really want to see it compared to other cards, so it's just kind of there in case you already have access to the other ones. As I mentioned, we are also on the Punk engine, including Psychic Tracker, which may seem like just a quirky little one-of extender, but trust me when I say this is a key part of the combo. The Gold Pride engine here is actually very small, being just 3 3 Leon, 2 carry, and then 1 each better luck next time and start your engines in the main. This is just kind of to get access to the quick Leon synchro on the opponent's turn, as well as getting the pop off of start your engines. If you want to see an actual in-depth Gold Pride deck profile though, check out my Gold Pride Sleeper Sunday for the month of November. And the final monster kind of engine in the deck is just 3 copies of Tour Guide. She's literally a 1-card combo into your entire stuff here, because you can summon cards like Miyanda the Cold-Blooded, which is a fiend, or just if you really need to summon another copy of herself to make an Xyz monster, though she is not the combo we're going to be showcasing before we get into our games. We're also playing 3 Ash and 3 Imperm because hand traps are hand traps. The Triple Tactics Talent are here just for a little bit of extension, even though the deck is already all gas mostly. Rhoda can search your Doug the Assaulter, and in a pinch can also grab Boon the Mach Speed. And then, of course, Full Armored Xyz is here because we are playing rank 3s and we don't really care about what rank 3s we go into half the time. Full Armored Xyz allows you to get access to the Xyz Armor Torpedo engine that can get you some really solid disruption. The extra deck consists of Star Leon and Jam Dragon Drive for the Gold Pride and Punk engines respectively. We've also got 2 of the Goblin Rider Big Head Gabonga, and as stupid as his name sounds, this card is really good. He has massive stats of 2100 attack, and that's kind of like the only massive stat, to be fair. He has 0 defense. Before a rank 3, that is pretty damn good. He only requires 2 level 3s, and on Xyz summon you can add any goblin monster from your deck to your hand, and if a material is detached from a monster on the field, you can target 1 other face-up monster on the field and attach it to this card as Xyz material. Finally, it says during the end phase, you can attach a goblin monster from your deck to this card as material, which isn't always going to come up, but if you do somehow end on him, you can at least get access to some of your cards, such as the Miyanda the Cold-Blooded, or even Clutter the Noisy, or Boon the Mach Speed for your graveyard effects. Goblin's Crazy Beast is their rank 6. You don't make it all the time, but it is definitely pretty solid. Very big 2700 attack body that requires only 2 or more level 6 monsters. It says once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 spell or trap on the field, detach 2 materials from a monster on the field, and if you do, attach that card to this card as material. If a monster you control be destroyed by card effect, you can attach a material from this card instead, and if this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon it, then you can attach a goblin monster from your graveyard to it as material, but you can only use this effect of Goblin's Crazy Beast once per duel. Like I said, you don't go into this card all the time, but when you do, it is a very solid body, especially in combination with cards like Grand Meeting to make it even larger. It serves as back row removal, serves as protection, and the extension from the graveyard, or the recovery I should say, is really the best part of this card, especially because it puts a material on a monster on the field for you to get cards such as your Grand Arrival live again. Chariot Carry is here to get access to our Better Luck Next Time to grab Captain Carry to grab the trap card, and then as I mentioned, the Xyz Armor engine here, just 3 cards gives you some pretty solid disruption. We also have Utopic Future and Draco Future because we are playing almost exclusively rank 3s, and it is a key part of the end board, not to mention being an Xyz monster with 3 materials that you can basically just freely detach. We also have Typhon and Zeus, of course, because not only is it an Xyz deck, but these cards are just super good in general. And finally, we have IP and SP. Typically, you can just go straight into SP, but if you want to, you can end on IP to go into it instead. Finally, we kind of just have 2 copies of Fender chilling in here because these cards were in the deck at first, but really he just ended up taking up too much space in the main monster zone, other than, like, unless I used one of the Gabonga effects or whatever to attach to one of my dudes just to, like, get a guy off the field. So really, he just didn't do very much. So I ended up cutting him, but if you really want to include it in your list, you can. Before we get into our games, I do just want to showcase the main combo that utilizes all 3 engines, including the Punk one as a starter, and all it takes is Emergency Teleport and any card in hand. So going into the combo, as I mentioned, all you need is Emergency Teleport and literally any card. You start off by activating your Emergency Teleport to summon your Punk Xiamen from your deck. This allows Xiamen to search for the Punk Foxy tune. This is the only reason why we need the extra card in hand, is because Foxy does need a discard to use her effect, but honestly, it is super worth it. You're just going to discard the other card in hand to summon your No Punk Deer Note, which will then use both of these monsters in order to go into your Jam Dragon Drive. I like putting it up here just to save spots in the main monster zone, because our only Link monsters are IP and SP. You're going to go Chainlink 1 Jam Dragon Drive, Chainlink 2 Deer Note, and you don't have to use the Xiamen really, because it's not like the attack boost is going to matter, but I do like utilizing it in order to chain block the effects in case we suspect something like Ghost Spell or Skullmeister. So Xiamen is just going to give Jam Dragon Drive a little bit of an attack boost. And here's where I mentioned Psychic Tracker being a key part of the combo, because you can actually add it off of the Jam Dragon Drive. This lets you get another level 3 extender on board, meaning that we can start digging for our other engines. And right here, we're going to actually start digging right into our Goblin engine by going into our Big Head Gabonga. His effect on summon allows you to add any Goblin monster from deck to hand, and we're going to start by adding Doug the Assaulter. Doug the Assaulter's effect is going to activate, detaching a material from our Big Head Gabunga in order to special summon himself. This will trigger the effect of Doug the Assaulter, and if your opponent has a monster here, you can easily slurp it up with Gabunga here, and you're going to use Doug to search for the Grand Arrival of the Goblin Riders. You're going to activate your Grand Arrival here, searching for the Mionda the Cold-Blooded, and attaching a material from Gabunga in order to special summon her to your side of the field. So you won't get her effect here, but it's not like it really matters because we'll get it later on in the turn anyway. Next, we're going to take our 2 level 3s here and go right into our Gold Pride Chariot Carry to get access to the final engine of the deck. I'm going to activate Chariot Carry, detaching the Mionda the Cold-Blooded to add better luck next time, and then we can send a Gold Pride from deck to grave in case we really don't want to draw it for one of our effects later, but it really doesn't matter here. Next, we're going to activate our Gold Pride Better Luck next time to search for a Gold Pride Captain Carry, and then we're going to lose the 900 life points. This should be the last bit of life points that we lose for the turn though to be fair, 2100 life points for the turn is pretty rough. But even regardless of that, we're going to special summon our Captain Carry here, utilizing her effect to search for a Gold Pride Trap card, grabbing the 1 copy of Start Your Engines. Next up, we're going to use Grand Arrival of the Goblin Riders, detaching the Doug the Assaulter to add the Doug the Assaulter back to hand. And now we have 2 Xyz materialist Xyz monsters on board, so what better way to utilize them than going straight into a Utopic Future and then Utopic Draco Future here. So like I said, Utopic Draco Future is really good because it's a powerful disruption with protection, but also has 3 materials that you can easily detach for free fodder because, let's be real, you really only need 1 negate off this guy. And so that's why we are going to activate the effect of our Mionda the Cold-Blooded, detaching really anything here, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to attach the Big Head Gabunga to special her to our side of the field, and now we get to utilize her effect, special summoning the Doug the Assaulter that we added back to our hand from our hand. And now you want to Xyz summon using at least the Mionda here because you want to make sure she doesn't get banished, you can utilize her later. The other material doesn't really matter though, so I'm just going to utilize the Doug the Assaulter to go into Xyz Armor Torpedo. Xyz Armor Torpedo allows you to detach 2 materials from it to draw a card. The card you draw here doesn't matter, so that's why I just put Triple T there as an example. And then we're going to rank up the Torpedo into the Fortress. Fortress allows you to detach the Torpedo in order to search for full armored Xyz. And we're finally going to rank up the Fortress into his final form, the full armored Dark Knight Lancer. The final bit of our turn simply consists of turning the Captain Carry and the Jam Dragon Drive into an SP Little Knight. You don't need to use the banish effect here. And then we'll set our 2 trap cards and pass turn. So off of just Emergency Teleport and any discard, without using your normal summon, meaning that Itali could have also been Xiamen, you end on SP Little Knight, full armored Dark Knight Lancer, the Utopic Draco Future, the full armored Xyz to fuel the Dark Knight Lancer and give it all the powerful effects given to it by Xyz Armor Torpedo, Gold Pride Start Your Engines, which is not only a pop, but we'll also get Leon on board to go into the Synchro, which is another pop, and you get to draw a card from your deck. This is insanely powerful, and it's not even like this is a huge glass cannon, because you still have follow-up in the form of your cards like Mionda the Cold-Blooded in your graveyard, and some other things that you can utilize, which is really big. And like I said, you still have 3 other cards in hand that you didn't even have to use, so those can not only be extenders, but they can also end up being follow-up or hand traps. That's it for the combo though. Let's go ahead and get into a game or two to really showcase how this deck works. Alright, we got a game against Link Noob here, and we did lose the rock, paper, scissors. So I think even if we go second here, actually, oh, they're making me go first. That's interesting. I was just about to talk about how my hand was really nuts, so even if I was forced to go second, I think I'd still be fine. But we have full combo here, plus extra gas and follow-up. So unless I get exactly Nibiru'd, I think everything is fine here. We're going to use the Foxy Tune, pitching the Boon the Mock Speed, special summoning the Deer Note from the deck. I'm basically just going to be going through the exact same combo that I showcased, except instead of searching for Doug the Assaulter, I can add a different card. Let's go ahead and go into our Dragon Drive, using Deer Note, using Psychic Tracker, or not Psychic Tracker, Xiamen, and we're going to use the effect to search Psychic Tracker. I'm getting way ahead of myself when I'm talking about these combos. But yeah, until something happens, I probably won't be saying anything. I'll just cut to when either the board is done or I get disrupted. Alright, our turn is finally over. We made an absolutely insane end board, and we still have loads of follow-up in our hand. Our opponent did choose to go second, though, so I'm interested to see what kind of cards they have. If they open, like, Dark Ruler evenly, it's kind of just over. Time Tearing Morganite. I forgot this card existed. Yeah, so draw 2 instead of 1, get 2 normal summons, can't activate monster effects in hand. Monarchs? Really? That is interesting. I'm assuming we're gonna get hit with something like a Stormforth? Pantheism here. So it's gonna discard something to draw 2. Yeah, honestly, that's fine. Not too sure how Monarch is gonna play through our end board, though, is the big thing. Domain, okay, so I can't special from the extra deck. I'm fine with that, honestly. Like, really, I don't think anything is going to hurt me too bad here. Now we have Pantheism, reveal 3, okay, so I think they're trying to dig for Stormforth now. I swear they're going to try to go for Stormforth to try and tribute something. They don't have to have different names, right? Yeah, it'd be stupid. Okay. Yep, 3 copies of Stormforth. Bada bing, bada boom. They can have a Stormforth. I really don't care. So let's see. Stormforth doesn't target is the interesting thing, but I don't think that matters. Like I said, like my board is absolutely insane. There's nothing this guy's gonna do. I mean, like if you tribute one of my guys, I don't care. I have access to like a billion other things here. Okay. So it's going to rip a random card from my hand, then if it was a monster, I'm going to take damage equal to the level times 100. I am going to impermits. So we imperm the Thestalos. I don't know how much further they're going to be able to go after this. They didn't get an additional normal summon off anything. So I don't even think they can activate any of the babies, like the baby monarchs, like the vessels, I think. Are they Vessel or Vossel? I don't know. All right, looks like end of the main phase. We're going into battle phase here. Probably just going to swing right at Little Knight. I mean, Little Knight dies, Little Knight dies. It's not like a huge deal. We still have access to our Dark Knight Lancer. We have Start Your Engines in case they go for anything else. Full Armored Exceeds, and it looks like they're actually just passing turn. I'm going to utilize Boon the Mach Speed while I can. I'm going to detach the Exceeds Armored Fortress to summon it to my side of the field. If they have Thrust, I mean, they have Thrust, but this is the casual server, so I'm not sure if he's packing Thrust. All right, my turn now. So unfortunately, I cannot special summon from the extra deck, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world, actually, because we're going to normal summon our Doug the Assaulter, and then utilize Doug the Assaulter to search for our continuous spell here, if I'm allowed to. Not sure if that face down is an imperm or some other form of disruption. Because I'm trying to dig for the continuous spell so that I can make both of my goblins much bigger, so that while they won't be able to destroy the, actually, no, Doug the Assaulter will be able to punch over the Thestalos, but let me see, yeah, because that only works in case they attack a monster. So I'm going to search for a Grand Meeting of the Goblin Riders here. I'm going to switch my Boon the Mach Speed to attack mode. I'm going to activate the Grand Meeting, and it's going to make both of my goblins gain an additional 900 attack points, putting the Doug the Assaulter bigger than Thestalos the Firestorm Monarch. Even if it wasn't, to be fair, I can swing with Full Armor Dark Knight Lancer. Also, I'm stupid. For some reason, I thought they'd be gaining 900. I have to normal summon my Clutter the Noisy if I want that, which actually I think I will now that I think about it. I'm going to go Clutter the Noisy so that I can special summon back Big Head Gabonga. It doesn't special in defense, by the way, so we can make it a very, very large Big Head Gabonga. And we actually should be able to OTK here, because Grand Meeting of the Goblin Riders is just such a powerful card here. Like, just look how big my goblins are right now. Literally all I need is a swing over with Big Head Gabonga, and then attack with the little guys, and it's over. Escalation of the Monarchs. Once per turn during your opponent's main phase, your opponent's battle phase, you can immediately tribute summon a monster. Interesting. I'm using the effect right now. Oh shit, what are we going into? Probably not Mobius or anything like that. Ether the Heavenly Monarch. If you tribute something against Antuna Monarchs, special a monster would do. During your opponent's main phase, if it's in hand, you can banish a Monarch spell or trap from grave to immediately tribute summon this card. Don't think Ether is enough to save them. Really not sure. Also, I find it ironic. Their name is Link Noob, and they're not playing any extra deck at all. Alright, so we're summoning a Rebus here. So I don't think a Rebus is going to do anything. I think it's going to be the Prime Monarch, right? It's in grave, you can banish another thing, special this as a normal monster. Okay, so they're just trying to defend themselves more than anything. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Alright, so we're in battle phase here. I'm going to use Big Head Gabonga to swing over Ether, most importantly. I think that Ether is the biggest threat here because it is a tribute summon monster, meaning that it makes Domain's effect live. So I think next I'm going to go... Do I want to go full armor Dark Knight Lancer, Kamikaze? I think I'll actually just Kamikaze Doug, because I have ways to get him back. I don't really think it's too much. Actually... Full Armored Xyz lets me Xyz summon immediately using its effect. Usually the effect doesn't come up too much because we're just trying to put it in grave to get access to other things. We can make Zeus off of this? That is so funny. What? Okay, whatever. I'm going to use these two to go into another Big Head Gabonga here. And then use Big Head Gabonga to search. Yeah, I just think that's really interesting. You make Zeus in the battle phase. I forgot about cards like that. But yeah, as I was saying, we usually just try to utilize Full Armored Xyz to use the Graveyard effect like we're using here. We're going to target the Dark Knight Lancer, and we're going to equip the Xyz Armor Torpedo to it from the Graveyard. And so that is going to give it additional effects, such as Xyz Armor Torpedo, being able to make your opponent's all your stuff negated when you swing, and then also it cannot be targeted. We're going to utilize the Big Head Gabonga to add probably another Doug the Assaulter just to get it in hand. And this is going to trigger the Dark Knight Lancer, and Dark Knight Lancer is going to equip the Erebus to himself, making him very, very massive. Sorry, not equip, attach. But we are going to continue the attack with Doug the Assaulter, and then we are probably going to be able to just push for game immediately with the Dark Knight Lancer here. Don't think there's too much that can be done other than utilizing the Graveyard effect of the Prime Monarch, which is probably what's going to happen when I swing with the Dark Knight Lancer. So I'm going to do that real quick. Still just waiting on them to use it. Come on. Oh, whoa, no, wow, they actually just let me go for the game. Alright then, looks like the first W for Goblins is on the chart. Alright, we got a match against Will here, and let's see if we can win the Rock, Paper, Scissors. We actually end up winning here, so we do get to go first, and we open a really solid hand. This is nice. We actually have full combo, and we get to discard the Full Armored Xyz, so we can go for a different play using our Xyz armor stuff in case we want to, but I think I'll just play it safe and then just go for the regular stuff on top of there. So let's just start going for a full combo, and I'll let you know if I get disrupted. Oh, it looks like we're getting Effect Veilered on our Chariot Carry. The thing is, though, is that I really don't think that matters. So I knew they had a disruption because it was asking them if they wanted to do something, and I just think it's a little weird they didn't use it on Big Head Gabonga. They sat there and they read Gabonga for a little while, so they were definitely thinking about it. But I think Chariot Carry is probably the weakest thing that you can imperm in the combo, because all it does is get access to the Gold Pride engine offline, but that's not really a huge deal for me, because we still get access to the rest of our combo, including our Draco Future and our full armor stuff, so we really don't care that much. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep going through my combo, and we're basically just not going to get our Gold Pride starter engines. Alright, so essentially, because we already have the Full Armored Xyz engraved, we got access to full combo aside from exactly the Gold Pride engine, which is fine. So the reason we were able to still go into SP is because we already had the Doug the Assaulter. I'm sorry, not that we had that. We didn't want to utilize our Doug the Assaulter in our hand if we didn't have to. So we actually used the Mionda to summon a Blue Mach Speed, which we detached a material from the Xyz Armor Fortress that we would have used for the search instead anyway. Basically, etc., that was the whole deal. So we did get the Boon the Mach Speed on board, so we got the extra material for the SP without having to have the Captain carry. So I'm going to see that we're playing as Unchained here, which is actually what I was hoping for. I really wanted to utilize it against a actually good deck. So I'm going to go ahead and negate the Sharvara there, because Sharvara is a very powerful card. And I'm going to negate the Abomination's Prison so they don't get access to another starter card. If they have a Ruha in hand, they have a Ruha in hand. I have other ways to deal with it. It looks like they have a Tour Guide, actually. I think Tour Guide is a little interesting here. I think, honestly, because I know the last card in hand is or not the last card, but one of the last cards in hand is Sharvara, I'm just going to go ahead and start shotgunning stuff. Like, I don't really think it's a huge deal here to just start shotgunning things, because even if they do have an extra thing and they go for, like, a small combo, I can extend on my next turn. I have a lot of gas here. And even if I didn't have the Ash, I think I would still be in a really, really good spot. So they're going to use the Tour Guide probably to summon the Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Or maybe they'll actually, if they don't have any extension, they might just go for something like an Aruha or something, just so if I kill it or whatever, they'll just float into another thing, like an Abomination's Prison, or not Abomination's Prison, Abominable Unchained Soul, get a pop, and then keep like stalling as long as they can. So no, they're summoning the Fiendish Rhino Warrior. They did use their normal summon, so I wonder if they have an extender here. And we're actually going into Typhon. That's pretty interesting. So we're probably going to see Typhon use its effect here, which I am honestly fine with. Remember, if they don't use the effect, I can detach the material for my stuff. Okay, no, they are using the effect. That would have been pretty funny. So I don't really care too much. It does suck not being able to use the Dark Knight Lancer because his attack is boosted by having that Xyz material. He's getting the effect of Fiendish Rhino Warrior here, not a huge deal. He does get a Sharvara dump though, which means that he can get another trap card to set. Unless he wants to dump something else for some reason, but I don't know what he would dump. Yeah, no, there's the Sharvara, using Sharvara to set from deck. I think I'm still in like a super good spot though, because he doesn't really have any more access to the Unchained engine. He can't summon any more things this turn. Using the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained to try and like stall for even longer. We're going to resolve the SP Little Knight, or special it back to our field, return it to our field, whatever you want to call it. And I don't know... I don't think I want to use the full armored Xyz. There's no real reason to. And if he uses an effect, I can get rid of the Typhon, which is really big there. But I think I'm going to start off by just going with a tour guide from the Underworld, using my own tour guide to face her tour guide or their tour guide off. So tour guide's going to use the effects. We know both of these are Unchained cards. This one has to be Escape if they went for Abominable Chamber under here. So Abominable Chamber will get them a disruption if this is an escape, so they at least get a pop and they get some more follow-up. So this actually could end up boding pretty well for them, but I did top deck Ash, so they don't get to float into much more stuff. And next turn, if they do make it to next turn, they can't do like anything super crazy. We're going to use Tour Guide here. We're going to summon probably... I think, honestly, we might just summon a Captain Carry. Her effects are negated, but just to get her right here, we don't really need to summon our Mionda when we already have a Mionda in Grave. I am going to turn both of these into a Big Head Gabonga, maybe? Not sure, actually. We do have access to a lot of different cards here. I think I want to turn these into a Big Head Gabonga. I'm going to put it up in the extra monster zone so that I can save up a little bit of space. We're going to use the Big Head Gabonga here to search for a card. They're thinking if they want to chain a card. They do have Sharvara here. That is definitely a card they can use, but that does allow me to chain the SP Little Knight. I'm going to banish herself and the Typhon to get it off the board for now, because I don't want to have to deal with the Typhon locking out my Draco Future, which is going to be really, really big if I get my Draco Future back online, because now I can negate a bunch of different things. I do have an Ash for the Abominable Chamber here. I'm going to add another Doug the Assaulter. Doesn't really matter too much what I add here. Hopefully they do get a level 6 so you can search off this guy soon. So Abominable Chamber is going to trigger here. I am going to use an Ash here. Does feel a little dirty that I did top deck it, but I mean, you know, sometimes it's just how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is. So we are going to go back into an open game state. We do have a bunch of different effects that we can utilize, and I'm going to start by utilizing the Mionda, the Cold-Blooded. I'm going to detach a material from Gabonga if I can. I think they might try to bait it out with the Escape of the Unchained, popping Sharvara and Gabonga, so I have to detach from the Utopic Draco Future, which would be a little bit rough. They do get the effect of Sharvara there as well. I think that honestly might be their best course of action, but even still, I can chain Boon the Mach Speed to detach material from Gabonga here. Yep, that's exactly what they're doing. I'm going to utilize Boon the Mach Speed, detaching a material from Big Head Gabonga. I don't think Full Armored Xyz gives it too much of an effect. Oh, actually, this does give protection. Now that I think about it, I did not even realize that. I'm going to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the Xyz Armor Torpedo to Big Head Gabonga, and I'm going to detach the Gold Pride Captain Carry to summon Boon the Mach Speed. That's going to trigger. I'm going to pop the Full Armored Xyz instead, and I'm going to detach the Tour Guide to summon Mionda. I'm going to utilize Mionda as Chainlink 1 to special from hand, Gabonga as Chainlink 2 to attach a monster as material. We're going to attach the Tour Guide, and we're going to use this to summon our Doug the Assaulter. They do get Sharvara here, but I'm just going to go ahead and negate it with the Utopic Draco Future. There's no real reason for me not to. We don't want them to have any gas at all, though we are definitely going to be able to OTK when we special our Doug the Assaulter here. Utilizing Doug the Assaulter, we're going to add the Continuous Spell, and we know... Actually, I don't know if we know the last card in hand. I don't think we do, but we're going to add our Continuous Spell. which we are then going to activate. It's going to juice up all of our goblins by 1200 attack, meaning we can go straight to battle phase, start swinging, and we will have game here. Yep, they do go ahead and surrender. That was a really solid game showing what this deck can do. Alright, that's going to do it for the replays that I have today. I actually got like maybe 6 games in, but most of them just ended up not either going very well because of like they just scooped or something like that, or the deck just it didn't feel like it was worth it showcasing. And then the first one I had was actually a really solid game until Tearlaman's Castra won the lottery. But I do hope this did a pretty decent job at showcasing what the deck can do. We did showcase it against a lower powered deck like Monarchs, where they actually managed to break apart the board a little bit, but then also against one of the top decks of the format right now, being Unchained. To be fair, Ash Blossom did do a good amount of lifting there, hitting the Abomination's Prism, but I honestly think with my end board I would have been perfectly fine regardless. I'm honestly really excited to play this deck. If it does end up being a little bit on the cheaper side when it releases, it probably won't be. I can easily see this being a couple $100 just for the core, which really rough, especially if they do get some good support revealed. Again, I'm really looking forward to like a main deck level 6 that can special itself. That would be really solid, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me know your sound in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please try to leave a like, as I'll split this video and the channel into recommended. And if this content and like it, like the rest of my replays, I'm trying to make more. Again, I noticed that I kind of fell off in terms of my amount of replays I've been putting up. Then perhaps consider subscribing and turning notifications on, because it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. We also did finally hit 5,000 subscribers, so thank you all so much for the milestone. It really means a lot. But also, if you want to support me directly while getting some awesome TCG merchandise in the process, check out Tapio cards in the link down below. Use code AURORA5 for 5% off your purchase at checkout, and to support me financially. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.